Welcome back to Manual Motion. I'm Evan, and today is a bit different. Today, right here, I have my 2019 RAV4, and I'm selling it. So I bought this about a year ago. Time to move on. Today, I'm going to go over all the things about just the 2019 RAV4 in general, and then talk about my experience owning an extremely practical family SUV like this. Real quick, if you're interested in buying this specific RAV4, click the link in the description below to go to the listing for it. All my thoughts on it are going to be later in the video, so go to the timestamp right here to see that. And everything going forward is just going to be a review of the RAV4 in general, so let's jump into it. Starting off, this is a RAV4 XLE from the XA50 generation for all you Toyota nerds out there. And this XLE model sits right in between the LE, which is a base model, and the Limited, which is the more luxury one. Of course, there are other RAV4 models, there's actually a ton of them. They all come with hybrid options. This does not have the hybrid model, but has a ton of great features from the Limited without spending the price to get the Limited model. Speaking of powertrain, this right here is a 2.5 liter inline 4-cylinder pushing out 203 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque, a surprisingly healthy number considering a lot of these used to have only like 160 horsepower in them. 200 is super healthy for this. It's got enough power to get out of its own way, obviously no speed demon, but with the displacement this large, it's sure to be reliable for years to come. And if you're wondering what the heck this thing is, this is a cross beam I put in here to connect the struts. This is an aftermarket part that I added in. I'm going to be removing it when I sell it. I will include it in the sale. If you want, just let me know. Next up, let's talk rims and tires. So this is a 17-inch alloy rim with a Geotour all-season tire on it. This specific RAV4 has all-wheel drive, which means it puts all four wheels to work, of course. A lot of these RAV4s you'll find are front-wheel drive. It's a front-wheel drive platform, but in the Northeast, you gotta have the all-wheel drive. It really helps out. Even with all seasons, this has been great over any sort of gravel or snow. I really can't complain. This thing's been awesome. Now we're inside the RAV4 where you find a pretty basic interior. This is in a world of all these fancy gadgets and these fancy lights, this doesn't have almost any of that, which again, could be good for you, it could be bad, depending on what you're looking for. I think for an economy car, this is a nice interior. Everything's upright, everything's meant to be very rugged, not really luxury focused, just more utilitarian. Speaking of utilitarian are the seats. These are cloth seats with kind of a cool pattern in them. You also have these weatherproof floor mats. These are really great for if you get dirty, you have muddy boots, they protect your car's interior from all that stuff. More ruggedness can be found with the climate controls. These two large dials are very clearly meant to be used with gloves. They're really chunky and have this plastic exterior to them. They don't feel great to turn. There's no click really. You can't really tell where you are in them. But again, that's not really the point. They're meant to be durable and tough. The climate controls in here are actually pretty clever. It's a dual zone system, and you can turn on eco mode to, of course, improve your fuel economy and have the system draw less power from the car. This car can also turn off the passenger side climate control if it senses no one's sitting here, which I think is an awesome option. It obviously helps save on fuel economy and is just a great feature. I'm surprised more cars don't offer this. Just north of the climate controls is the touchscreen. Not much discussed with this really. It's Toyota's pretty simple infotainment system. It's not smartphone responsive, but it's good enough. And it's got wired Apple CarPlay, which is pretty much all I've ever used over the past year. I do like though that this USB port is located down below in this tray here, which actually does have a really great spot for your phone. It's not wireless charging, but again, that's not really an issue when it's wired Apple CarPlay as it's charging all the time. In the center console here, we have the shifter, a traditional gear selector, no buttons here, and the top is wrapped in leather, which is a really great touch that comes on the XLE trim. You can also shift it over into S mode, which is a manual shifting mode that I guess is really supposed to be used for when you're towing, but it's labeled S as if you're gonna be sporty in your RAV4. Yeah, right. Speaking of sport though, that's actually one of the options in the center console here with your drive modes. You have three modes that you use pretty often. The eco mode, which of course dulls back the throttle and makes it really efficient. Normal mode, which is, it feels normal, nothing surprising there. Sport mode, it will actually hold the revs really long, which again, I'm not really a fan of. This car was not meant to be sporty. I guess it's nice to have. The three modes below that are more unique. Snow mode, of course, is when you're in the snow and you have to really use the traction to its fullest potential. Mud and sand, same thing. Rock and dirt, I guess the same thing. I'm not sure the specifics here, but I'm sure you'll be using them maybe. Is there a lot of mud on the way to soccer practice? I don't know. Right above the drive mode selector here, you have also the parking brake, but next to that you have, more interestingly, the hold button. This is a feature where you can put your foot on the brake when you're at a stoplight and it will come to a complete stop, and then you can take your foot off the brake and it won't move until you hit the gas again. This feature has been so nice. You can kind of sit back when you're at a stoplight, and cars that don't have it, that I drive, kind of occasionally, are just not as enjoyable when you're sitting at a stoplight. It's really, I find it really annoying now that I have to keep my foot on the brake. So this is a great feature in this car. And as you go between these drift and drive modes, it changes the gauge cluster screen. It simply will tell you what kind of mode you're in, along with some changes to the color and a different pattern in the background. The screen itself is not particularly large, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. It shows you the basics, your speed, your miles per gallon, your trip information, a couple different other stats. It's pretty much what you'd expect. On either side are two physical gauges, of course, for the revs and for the speed, along with your heat and your fuel. But again, those are all pretty clear, nothing too interesting there. Just something to note. As you zoom out from the gauge cluster, you can see the steering wheel. It's leather wrapped like the gear selector and actually feels really great to touch. Other than that, the buttons on the steering wheel, they don't feel premium to push, but again, durability is a factor here, so that doesn't really matter. The ones on the left side control your gauge cluster screen, so you can scroll through that. You also control your volume through there, as well as your phone calls. The right side of the steering wheel controls your adaptive cruise control, which again, a great feature in this car. Behind the steering wheel are the stocks on either side. On the right side is, of course, your wiper stock. Your left side has your controls for your lights. And actually this car has automatic high beams, which is something I didn't really expect in a RAV4 and was actually a really great addition. Again, one of those premium features that I haven't experienced in a car before that I've owned, and again, really welcome feature. While up here still, let's talk about practicality. This thing is full of spots to put your stuff, including the center console here. Really deep, really spacious. It's got some extra ports in here, some USB-A ports. Again, really great to see here. Really awesome practical thing. Got some cup holders. On the dashboard here, you have on the left side of the steering wheel and on the right side a set of, I guess, shelves. Anything I put in there ever has flown out the second you go near the throttle, and I'm really not entirely sure what they're meant to be for. I guess they're meant to be kind of a more storage area. Again, not really finding it that useful, but again, I guess rather to have it than not. On the door bins, you do have plenty of space for at least 2 bottles of water, if not more, and that's really great to see. Of course, mine are full of microfiber towels because, you know, I'm a car enthusiast. I want to keep my car clean. Speaking of practicality, the back seats are a huge help in this car. Obviously, you're buying this to be a family car, practical car, and this certainly delivers. I am 5'10". I have tons and tons of knee room behind my ideal driving position, tons of headroom because of the high roof line of this car. You can easily fit 3 people back here. I've had 3 tall adults sit back here, and they handle just well in relative comfort. But what helps with comfort a lot, though, is rear climate vents. You have these 2 vents on either side with a control in the middle for how much airflow you're getting. And this is a huge help because not a lot of economy cars have this feature, but Toyota, they know how to do it. You also have 2 USB-A ports back here. Super great addition to this car. Helps with the practicality a lot because if you have kids back here, they have a bunch of devices. You don't want to be breaking out the adapter for one single, cigarette lighter or something like that. This is a great help for that. You also have in the center console here, a couple of cup holders. Your kids can fight about which one's theirs all day long. All right, you now find me in the trunk of the RAV4, and you find quickly it's very spacious back here. You have room for luggage for several people back here, all your groceries, all your soccer practice gear, and this load floor back here actually turns from a carpeted surface to a more rugged surface to put more things back here that might scratch up the carpet. You don't have to worry about that. The seats fold down to 60-40 split, giving you even more room. I've had bikes back here, I've had snowboards back here, tons of space for that. It's honestly, I mean, what'd you expect? It's a mid-sized SUV, so A+ in practicality. Lastly, let's talk about styling. It's boring, it's a RAV4, but it does have a couple good angles to it, I think. From the 3/4 in front, looks really good. You're seeing probably the most ugly angle right now, but the black cladding around the fenders actually give it a really cool off-road vibe. You have the black emblems, which actually are really cool as well, to give a more sporty vibe. But at the end of the day, this is one of the most common selling cars in the United States. It is absolutely everywhere. You probably know someone who already has one. And so it's not really gonna stand out, but for someone like myself, or potentially a buyer for this one, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Before you go, I'm gonna give you a quick summary of what it's been like to own this car. I bought it with about 52,000 miles on it. I've driven it about 16,000 miles this year, and so I've got a really great experience with it. It has been flawless that entire time. No squeaks, no rattles, nothing. No complaints from the engine, no glitches in the infotainment. It's been really solid. And that's been really great. A couple different things though. I have gotten 2 oil changes in it, 2 tire rotations, 2 alignments. I have put new rear brakes in it, but other than that, it's been exactly the same. The front bumper, not right now, but will be repainted because it has a big scratch in it. That was done by the previous owner, but I'm getting it done for you. Over those 16,000 miles, my average fuel economy has been right around 28 miles per gallon. Not too bad, especially considering it's not the hybrid model. I've been driving that pretty much to and from work. It's been covered at work. I leave it outside when it's at home. That's not too bad though, because I keep it very clean. It's been confirmed to have no rust on it, which is great. I've only done 2 modifications to it. You saw the strut bar under the hood earlier in the video. I also have a installed dash cam, but it's integrated into the housing around the mirror, so it's pretty seamless. Like, one small complaint I have is just that the radar cruise control could be a little bit better. It doesn't keep you in the lane super well or keep you at a good distance from the person in front of you if you're using the adaptive cruise control. Obviously, it's just fine because it's a RAV4, and at this price point, you're just glad to have it, right? But overall, like, the sound system, again, I've heard people complain about it. I've had no issues with it. The ride quality has been great. The seats are comfortable. Again, commuting to and from work, it's absolutely fine. But here's the thing. Since I bought this car on this channel, go check out the videos if you haven't already, we've driven all kinds of sports cars. Some of my dream cars we've driven in the past year. And they've all been crazy sports cars and really fun things to drive. And this just isn't. It's a fantastic daily driver. And I think that if you're looking in the market for an SUV, a midsize SUV, there's nothing better than a RAV4. But it's not for me. I wanted something practical. I wanted something with all the kind of new modern bells and whistles and the comfort to match. And I realized I'm not using it. I don't use the trunk all that often. I use it for like groceries and stuff. I've probably carried my snowboard in there once. I have probably can count on one hand the amount of times I fit more than 2 people in the car. So I'm really not utilizing this to its fullest potential. Hopefully you will. And the next car I'm gonna look for is gonna be a little bit more towards the sports car realm. I've loved my time with this, just not quite a sports car. Overall, my experience with the 2019 RAV4 has been actually really great. I drive it back and forth to work every day. It's perfect for that. And it's the newest car I've ever owned. Ton of great tech features. The next owner, I'm sure you're gonna love it. I loved it. And I'm really sad to see it go. I get really emotional with my cars, so seeing this go is gonna be kind of sad. But I am super excited for what's coming up next. You have to stick around for that. Leave a comment down below if you made it this far in the video. Guess what it is? The next video is gonna be hopefully me in the car, fingers crossed. And I'm super excited. Not all our videos like this though. We have a lot more that are more cars and coffee oriented, more sports cars. This has been an anomaly because it's just my car. But if you enjoyed, let us know that you want more reviews from us, or you want more sports cars and you hate these, that's fine too. And with that, hope you have a great day. See you in the next one. You now find me in the trunk. Oh, is this on? Oh, it is. All right.